All right, everyone. We are going to start today's blast from the past with one of mine and my family's favorites, Supernatural. So we used to watch this every episode, all the way from the very beginning, all the way to the very, very last episode together as a family. We really, really loved this show. And I love this intro for season one, which has lots of imagery from throughout the first season. And I am hoping that I can get away with the music playing in the background because that definitely draws some of that memory of the season and the entire show. If it doesn't work out, then I'll have to re-record this and try again. But I'm really crossing my fingers and I'm really hoping that I can get away with having this whole intro in here with me speaking and with the music playing in the background. That would be fabulous. So please, please, please cross your fingers, your toes, and your ankles, and everything else. And let's hope that YouTube will let us get away with having this without any copyright strikes, without any blocks. Let's hope anybody paying attention will let us.
Hello everyone, this is Venus Brown, and today I'm going to be starting my Supernatural Blast from the Past episode. Now I'm dressed up as the father, John, in that very first episode where he finds out that his wife has just been killed, which was an olive green Marine t-shirt. I don't have a Marine t-shirt, I was in the Army, but I have this Harris shirt, which I figured was good enough. And he's wearing a navy blue bathrobe. So that's what I got. I don't know what pants he was wearing, but I got some camo shorts on. So
This is Venus Brown, bringing you content on media from the distant and not so distant past. If you're up for it, then join us for our Blast from the Past segment. And hey, if you like this content, hit the thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. And if you'd like regular updates, ring the little bell accordingly.
for this first episode, the pilot of Supernatural, we start out in Lawrence, Kansas, 22 years before the events of the show take place. We have little brother Sam, who is a baby at that point, big brother Dean, who is a little kid, and husband and wife John and Mary. Night sets in, John is asleep on a lazy boy in front of the TV, and Mary is going to check on the kids. And Mary's in Sam's room, sees somebody in front of the crib and assumes that it is John until she goes downstairs, sees that John is sleeping, runs back up to find out who this creep is, screams, and then next thing you know, John's come up to check on what the hell's going on. Everything seems fine, baby's fine, but blood starts dripping on his hand. He looks up on the ceiling, and it's his wife there. Flames all over the ceiling, engulfing the whole room, the wife, everything. And John gets out with the kids, and then we're back to current times. After that, we see Sam has this girlfriend. He went to a Halloween party with her. They went home, went to bed. Dean ends up sneaking into Sam's place. After a quick introduction to his girlfriend, Jess, Dean proceeds to tell him that Dad's missing. He's been missing for a while. And not only has he been missing for a while, he went missing after a hunting trip, which of course is code for them because they hunt for supernatural creatures. Dean convinces Sam to go with him to try to figure out what has happened to their dad. It's supposed to take a couple days, and then Sam's plan is to come right back before an interview for law school, which is supposed to occur on Monday. After this, we have the typical horror movie kind of scene. Young kid driving home late at night, sees a beautiful girl standing on the side of the road, looks like she's been attacked or something, although he questions if maybe it's a Halloween costume. Kid picks up the girl. She's saying stuff like, I can never go home and take me home. He takes her to where her home is supposed to be. And as they get there, she says, I can never go home. He ends up going into the house. Of course, I see this and I'm like, I don't think this kid's coming home. And my youngest kid says, dude, just leave. This is how every horror story starts. And of course, he ends up dead, as is typically the case in a horror movie and on Supernatural. Now we find out that this series of murders that have been occurring, similar to what the kid went through, is what their father had been checking out. They're calling these the Centennial Kidnappings. It's always a man that ends up getting killed by this mysterious woman. They come to find out that the woman's name is Constance Welch, that she actually died from suicide after killing her kids. It fits with a story of many other women that had committed suicide who also had killed their children after their husbands were unfaithful to them. Sam and Dean, they do their typical thing where they pretend to be somebody that they're not, in this case, federal marshals. And then later on, when Dean gets arrested a little later, he'll call himself Ted Nugent. They end up stopping at a hotel for the night, find out that this guy's been staying there for a month. The guy, of course, is their father. Find out that their dad has not been there in a couple days. And he's got papers, notes, articles, and stuff from all of these Centennial kidnappings. Dean goes out to get a snack, and he is nabbed by the same authorities that he pretended to be a marshal with. So, of course, they know now because he had also paid for their hotel with a fake credit card. He is by no means a marshal. They're asking about his partner, who he has called to tell to get the hell out of there and go find their dad. The process of questioning Dean, he finds out that they have gotten a hold of his dad's journal, which he left, something that he never does. Dean gets a paperclip, breaks out, takes the journal with him, and gets a hold of Sam. They end up in this run-in with Constance Welch, the ghost who has been haunting these men, and she tries to get Sam, but Sam's like, I've never cheated on anybody, so you can't really kill me. And she's like, oh, but you will. And she tries to force herself on him, and then Dean shoots at her, which of course doesn't kill her because she's already dead, but that at least distracts enough. As this line that she says, I can never go home, Sam goes and says, I'm taking her home, drives the freaking car right into her house. She got taken home. And after the scenes play out and she has been taken home, her dead kids that she killed kind of, I guess, take her home to hell or wherever it is that she goes. Sam and Dean are plotting together what the next steps are to find their dad. But of course, Sam needs to go back. And after a little bit of argument, Dean agrees to take Sam back home. Sam comes in. There's a plate of cookies on the counter, takes one. It sounds like she's in the shower. He goes upstairs to go to bed, and then he sees blood dripping on his hand, looks up, and it's his girlfriend in that same position that his mother was when she died, up on the ceiling, then flames engulfing her in the ceiling and everything. So that whole scenario with his mom was like recreated with his girlfriend. And of course, Dean comes in and rescues him and gets him out of there. After that, Sam's like, well, I guess we got work to do, so that they can go and do what Sam and Dean do, which is to look for their dad. And then eventually we know that they'll also be hunting monsters, all those different kinds of supernatural creatures that they eventually hunt. This second episode is called Wendigo, based on an ancient myth about creatures that were originally human. We start with a refresher of what happened last episode, and with Sam saying, we got work to do. along with the coordinates 35-11, which is supposed to be where Blackwater Ridge is. That is where most of the episode takes place. We have a scene with a bunch of teenage kids camping out, and they are taken out by a monster. I wanted to point out the guy in the plaid shirt was Cory Monteith, because he killed himself and used to play in the show Glee, which our family really liked Glee. We were very sad to hear he had killed himself. So we get some information about this creature that has taken out these kids that were camping as we're going through the show. It appears that every 23 years, killings occur. Oftentimes they're blamed on grizzlies in the area. The creature's too fast to see. It roars in an indescribable way that most humans have not heard before. It also can unlock doors. And because it is not a ghost or spirit or anything like that, it is actually killable. It is also smart, can draw its victims out and isolate them so that it can pick them off one at a time. It can mimic human voices. You can use symbols to keep it out of your area. The creature was once a man that started eating other people, and it gradually turned into this creature, which imbued it with powers and made it very monstrous. The creature is always hungry, and it can be killed by torching it. Also, it doesn't just eat the person. It doesn't just kill it right off. It tries to save the person so that it can savor the food later, so that it can stay fed for longer periods of time. In this episode, Sam and Dean pretend to be rangers. They meet this other family who are trying to find their brother who has been missing from the same camping trip that we saw go awry earlier in the episode. Sam and Dean know it's not safe for them, but they know that they're not going to take no for an answer, so they decide that they will just go with them to protect them. They also bring a guide with them. This guy is overly confident. He ends up shooting at this creature, which apparently pisses it off, and instead of saving the human to eat gradually, it just kills him. Sam and Dean also point out that the Wendigo is a very good hunter during the day, but it is a phenomenal hunter at night, and they have to stay in the woods at night because these people refuse to leave. The creature picks them off one at a time, first killing that guide, then picking off the young girl, then picking off Dean. So Sam and the girl's brother go looking for Dean, and Dean has left a breadcrumb trail of M&Ms for them to follow, which takes them to this mine that has warning signs to keep out. It's dangerous. Of course, that's not going to stop them, so they go in. Sam and the boy first find the girl and Dean, and then not too long after that, they all find the missing brother. By that point, it looks like Cory Monteith has already been killed. And I don't remember what his name was in the show. I just know his real name is Cory Monteith. They managed to get out of there. I think they killed the Wendigo, and then they told the Rangers that it was grizzlies. And one of the ways that they are able to figure out a bunch of the stuff about this Wendigo creature is because they have their dad's journal that has all kinds of information, including specific information about the creature. Episode 3 is called Dead in the Water. In this episode, girl goes out to a lake alone. Her name is Sophie. The girl dives in, does not make it out alive. We find out later that this is the third drowning this year, and we are off to Lake Manitowoc. And Sam and Dean are pretending to be agents for the Wildlife Service in this episode. We find out about the girl that she is a varsity swimmer, that there were no signs of distress when she drowned, and that her brother saw a dark spot in the water when she drowned. We also see a continuation of this thing that we'll see throughout the series, that Dean seems to be a magnet for pretty girls. And this episode is no different, but this time the girl calls Dean out for his bad pickup lines. The girl has a kid named Lucas. He is the only living witness to the killings, and he is traumatized, so he doesn't speak. he draws. Dean requests to talk to him. While he's talking to him, he convinces him to draw a picture. And the whole time I'm thinking, why don't you look at the kid's pictures? Like, he's drawing all these pictures and you didn't even stop to look at any of them. Doesn't make any sense to me. The first picture the kid brings him is a picture of a house. And that picture is actually going to show a future killing, where the girl who drowns brother is drowned in a sink. It looks very, very forced, like he is being forced to drown himself in the sink. The next picture he brings has a picture of a church with a picture of a home, a little boy, and a bike next to the church. We find out that that is actually a picture of a killing that happened in the past, all the way back in 1970. They find this house because of the church that is in the drawing. And they go and talk to the lady there. She explains that her child that had the blue baseball cap and had a bicycle next to it, which was what was in the drawing, actually died a long time ago. In 1970, his name was Peter. And they also find out that he is connected to Bill, the father of the girl and the guy that just died from that lake. Bill goes out on a boat. The boat is attacked by nothing that anyone can see. Bill is sucked in the water and he does not come out. And the whole time that Sam and Dean have been in Manitowoc, Wisconsin, they've also been talking to this police officer. His name is Jake. He is the father of Lucas's mom. And I don't honestly remember the girl's name. And Jake figures out that Sam and Dean are not legitimate wildlife agents, tells them they either get arrested or they need to head out of town. Lucas is in the room when they get ready to leave the room, and he is freaking out. He seems scared, and he's pulling on Dean's hand, trying to signal to him something, but we don't know exactly what at the time. Sam and Dean offer to leave. They get ready to get on the freeway, and Dean stops at the light, doesn't turn. He turns the opposite direction, away from the freeway, and they go to the kid's house just in time to save this girl. His mom's getting ready to take a bath. Mom's gonna die in the tub unless Dean gets to her in time. They get there just barely in time, and Sam's trying to pull her out, but she is like pulling really hard to intentionally try to drown herself because of this possession that had been killed in the lake back in 1970. Sam barely manages to pull her out so she doesn't drown. It takes them a little while to figure it out because Lucas shows them where the bike of the boy that was drowned back in 1970 was buried. They are able to figure out the boy was killed by Bill and Jake back when they were kids. They don't find out how they were killed until Jake sees them pulling this bike out of the ground. He does eventually confess. It just takes him a while before he's willing to confess, especially since his daughter is standing there and he doesn't want his daughter to hear. Him and Bill used to bully this kid, Peter, and that they got carried away and ended up drowning the kid because they put him underwater too long. By this point, Lucas has wandered off by himself over to the lake. He's about ready to be drowned, and Jake sees him about ready to be drowned, so now it's Jake's turn. And Jake goes into the water to try to keep this spirit that he now knows is haunting the water and is going to kill all his family, and tells the spirit that it needs to take him and to leave the boy, that the boy is innocent and that he is just a little kid and he shouldn't be killed. Jake ends up drowning. Lucas is alive. And the next time we see Lucas, he is talking. I think we're also starting to see more of how Dean's mom dying in front of him really has affected him, how living as hunters has affected both of them, and how that way of life has kind of made both of them who they are. Episode 4 is called Phantom Traveler. In this episode, we are introduced to demons. We have a black cloud that seems to be coming and going from these vents. And the first person that is possessed by this demon, is massively afraid of flying. He's in the bathroom trying to wash his face. Somebody reassures him that, oh, the rate of people dying in a plane crash is like 20,000 to 1. And then he gets possessed by a demon. Sam is still having nightmares after his girlfriend has died in the same way that his mother did. It's keeping him from sleeping at night. And then Dean gets a call from a person called Jerry, who says that he had been helped from Dean and his dad with a poltergeist problem. He now needs help. One of their flights has come down. He has them listen to the message on their black box that was recovered from the crash. And he also says that one of his pilots, who is also a friend named Chuck, has been quite shook up by the whole thing. We find out there are 7 people that survived the flight. One of the people that survived the flight has checked himself into a psych hospital. After being coaxed into explaining what he saw, because he insisted that what he saw could not have been real, he says that he saw a guy with black eyes open the emergency door on the plane while it was in flight. But he explains that this could not be possible because there's like thousands of pounds of pressure behind the doors that are in flight. In this episode, they pretend to be Homeland Security in order to check out the plane wreckage. They even wear suits. And Dean walks around with a homemade tracker that he made with a Walkman. On the wreckage, they are able to collect some sulfur that has been left at the scene where that emergency door was opened. We see another black cloud come through a vent, which turns out to be demonic possession. And this is the pilot that Jerry had said had been shaken up from the last crash. He's still shaken up, but a friend that's with him convinces him to go ahead on a flight of a small plane. They get on, and of course, he's possessed. He ends up elbowing the guy in the face and then intentionally crashes the plane. So now Chuck is dead, and they try to warn the flight attendant who was on the last plane, because she's the next in line to die in a plane crash. And they can't convince her because they give her a bullshit story about somebody that she just talked to 5 minutes ago being in an accident. And then give her a bullshit story about somebody that she seems to have a romantic relationship with. Either way, she is not convinced not to take that flight, so they decide that they're going to have to fly on that flight themselves. But lo and behold, Dean is actually afraid to fly. Still, he knows he's got to do it, and Sam helps him out with it. They get on board. They try a couple tricks to find out if either of the stewardesses have been possessed, which was mostly to say the word Cristo to see if she flinched or anything like that, which didn't work. Dean walks around the plane using his homemade tracker and is able to find out that the pilot has been possessed. He's got to get the flight attendant to convince the pilot to come out and talk to Sam and Dean in order for them to exorcise the demon that has possessed the pilot. They get the demon out, and then the plane starts to go down. Sam's trying to get a hold of his dad's journal because it's got the words for the exorcism in it. He finally gets that. He does the rest of the exorcism and saves the people on the plane. Another thing that happened during this exorcism, though, before the demon came out of the pilot, the demon brought up Sam's girlfriend and said that she died screaming. So now we know that these demons are aware of his girlfriend and know about her dying. And as they're wrapping everything up and talking to Jerry about what happened, Dean asks him how on earth he got his cell phone number, because he's only had that cell phone for 6 months. And Jerry says that he got it from Dean's dad. So Dean's like, you actually talked to my dad? He's like, no, I didn't really talk to him. I got it off of a message. I called him, and on the message, he said to call you and gave out your cell phone number. So Dean went ahead and called his dad's number, and that is the message on there saying that he can't talk to anybody, that he's not available, but if anybody needs to talk to him, to please call his son Dean, and gave them the number. Anyway, I think the introduction to demons is probably pretty important because this comes up many, many times throughout the series. Episode 5 is called Bloody Mary. Of course, about that story we all heard when we were kids about Bloody Mary. After telling the story, it looks like one of the girls might have invited Bloody Mary in. But this time, she killed the girl's dad instead of her. The screams, ah! They're off to Toledo, Ohio, this time pretending to be med students, and then inviting themselves to the funeral. But Sam and Dean still have no indication as to what's actually going on. Boy, oh boy, the teenagers are gonna do it now. So smart. And Panic at the Disco was playing in the background. So they're still not finding any stories connected to this Bloody Mary incident, nor anything in the local area. Dean tries doing a nationwide look instead of just local area, and finds a story about Mary Worthington, who had her eyes cut out. It was said that it looked very professional. They later find out that the mirror seems to be the source of this spirit coming through, and this spirit seems to be traveling with the mirror, but still going to other mirrors. The spirit seems to be attacking and killing these people with secrets. In order to draw Mary Worthington out, Sam decides that he's going to play Bloody Mary to try to get her out of there. When he does, the spirit accuses him of knowing about Jessica's death before it ever happened. So did he actually dream of Jessica's death before it ever happened? Either way, as both Sam and Dean look like they're getting ready to be killed by this spirit, they turn her curse back around on her by using her reflection in a mirror looking at her now physical form. And we get a lovely little lesson about how important it is for these people to forgive themselves. For Sam to forgive himself for what happened with Jessica, and for this other girl to forgive herself for what her boyfriend had done when she told him to go ahead and kill himself. Episode 6 is called Skin. Sam's friend has been accused of murder, but it occurred while he was in a completely different place. So Sam and Dean come and visit with Sam's friends from Stanford. And Sam pretends that Dean is a detective. We have a scene with a dude calling for his wife, and I'm saying, dude, you're gonna die, except she's not answering, so I changed it to, unless she's dead. Nope, she's tied up and bloody all over. His lookalike apparently must have done it because she's begging him not to hurt her anymore. Lookalike finds him and starts beating him. And Becca, Sam's friend, apparently found out that Sam and Dean's story is baloney. Because the cops looked into him and they're like, this guy is not a freaking cop. There is no Dean Winchester in our rosters. But now Dean has been cloned and his shapeshifters got Sam. Now he's with Sam's friend Becca. Now the military's gone after him and all hell's breaking loose. But man, that shape change looks really, really painful and gruesome. Dean's concern over the shapeshifter is him driving his car. Not that he's been accused of a brutal attempted murder. And I'm still wondering, what is this shapeshifter thing doing with its eyes? My husband said he's taking a picture, which kind of looks like that, but who knows? Shapeshifter gets blown away, he's dead now, but at least one of Sam's friends knows what they really do, even though the rest of them are still in the dark. Episode 7 is Hookman. Now, I've been trying to kind of keep these things short because, frankly, There's so many of them. But this episode, I got like a whole page, so hopefully it's not that long. We start out with scene with the girl being with the guy, and apparently he doesn't fucking know what no means. Dude, no means no. And screeching, metallic sounds means you need to drive the fuck away. Now, the girl, Lori, she needs to fucking drive away, but does she? No. She does not drive away. She goes out to see the handiwork. It says the killer was invisible. I'm like, invisible? That killer wasn't invisible. So on this episode, Sam and Dean pretend that they are university transfers. They go in to meet their roommate, and this dude is painting himself all in dark purple and calls himself the Purple Man. Craziness. And we find out the lucky girl from the beginning is a reverend's daughter. According to Sam and Dean, Hookman is some great legend. Really, I've never heard of this guy at all. Killed a bunch of prostitutes, hung people from their ankles to make examples out of them. Same as Lori's boyfriend that doesn't know what no means. Sam and Dean put some rock salt bullets in their guns, but that does nothing with the local police on scene. For Lori, one traumatic event was not enough. She wakes to her friend bludgeoned on the bed. Aren't you glad you turned on the light? That's what's carved into the wall. And Sam is strong, climbs right up the house up to the second floor. Jacob Carnes apparently is the name of Hookman, and Sam and Dean speculate if Dad isn't inadvertently projecting this demon spirit or whatever it is out into the world. But later on, we find out it's actually the girl that is projecting this demon spirit. Dean digs up a grave site, adds some salt, fuel, fire, and lights Jacob Carnes' remains on fire. Does it work? No, it didn't work, because apparently the hook that he used to kill people with was not gotten rid of, but they said it was melted down. So I'm wondering, if it was melted down, how do they honestly get rid of it? Because they usually burn things. And if you burn the metal, aren't you just melting it down? I feel like I need to rewatch the end of it again to find out exactly what the hell happened. Apparently, Lori is very upset. Her hypocrite dad is screwing around with this married woman with children, yet scolding her for being a normal teenager. Later, Lori makes a move on Sam, and he's just not ready for that kind of action and, descends into Saminess. Then Hookman tries to take out Lori's dad, and Sam and Dean find out that they still need to get rid of his hook from St. Barnabas, except no. It's not there. It was melted down, apparently into a cross that is around Lori's neck. Episode 8 is called Bugs. This dude gets devoured into a hole that is filled with bugs. But they're just like little teeny beetles. They don't look very harmful. But apparently they're harmful enough to kill him. And they blame it on mad cow disease. And come to find out that some beetles eat meat. I did not know that. Sam and Dean go to the place where this all happened, where these houses are being built. And the realtor there thought that they were an item, saying, "We accept all races, religions, sexual orientations." And then when they explained that they were looking for their dad, who's getting on in age, then they're like, "Oh yeah, and any age group also." So that was amusing. And it turns out this guy's son has a thing for bugs. Next scene, we see a lady in the shower. She sees a bunch of spiders in the shower. She ends up slipping on the broken shower door and dying. When Sam and Dean suspect there might be something up with this boy because he's so infatuated with these bugs, they go and talk to him, and the boy seems to know that there must be something up with the bugs. There's something odd, but he's not the one behind it. In this episode, we see that Sam is really empathizing with the kid, but Dean doesn't get it, much like the episode earlier in the series where Dean was empathizing with the traumatized kid and Sam didn't really get it. Trying to figure out what was happening, they find a bunch of skulls in the soil. They bring them back to this professor at a university there who says they appear to be native skulls that are over 100 years old. Dean tries to talk to some Native American guy, and he just like calling out Dean for being a liar, but says he likes Sam and tells them about these Native American people. This cavalry came in and they just kept raping and killing their people until they were all dead. And now there is this curse on the land that is going to keep killing these people. Sam and Dean go and try to warn the family. They convince the boy, but the boy is like, I can't talk to my dad. He won't believe anything I say. And Sam's like, well, you need to make him believe. And Dean's like, dude, just fucking lie to him. Tell him you've got a fucking pain in your side and you need to get to the hospital. But instead, the boy tells the dad the truth, and the dad doesn't believe them, tries to push them away. He won't listen to anything any of them are saying until they are swarmed by bugs. Are those bugs locusts? I don't know, but it appears they might be many types of bugs, because they got termites eating this house. There's stuff flying in there that looks like bees or wasps. And there's tons of bugs flying in there really fast, and you can't really tell exactly what they are. But then all of a sudden they all fly away, so I'm not sure what was... I really feel like I'm missing things with these episodes. I do notice that the supernatural episodes are very formulaic. You have your horror scene that happens, Sam and Dean hear about the event, they come and visit, try to figure out what's happening, they save the day, and then they have their nice little talk at the end. I know that some people get very aggravated about that whole formulaic method of going through shows, but I don't really mind it with this. You know what to expect, and you get those same rewards each time, and learn a little bit new each time, which is fine by me. Episode 9, Home. There was a lot happening. As soon as I saw that label, I was like, does this have to do with Sam and Dean's home? When I saw that family, I was like, oh, well, it's some other family. That's not what it's about. Until I saw her looking at their pictures in the attic. I was like, oh my God, they're in the Winchester home? That is not going to end well. Sam's intuition and dreams are cluing him in that something is going on, and so they have to come back to their childhood house, where they apparently have not been since that fateful night that their mother died. There's only so much I remember, but I remember that there was a lot of crazy shit that happened with Sam. It started with that moment when he was a little baby. The family is obviously having problems with this house. She has drains backing up, she has lights flickering, and she calls a plumber in to deal with the drain in the sink. He's sticking his arm in the hole where the freaking garbage disposal goes, and I'm like, dude, you don't ever do that. Which is funny because I have actually done that. Sometimes the thing gets stuck, and you have to clear shit out of there in order to get it unstuck. I'm still yelling at him, of course, because horror movie vibes. And I'm just thinking, dude's gonna get his arm eaten by this garbage disposal. Yep, that's what happens. Sam and Dean go and visit this old neighbor who talks about how his dad was getting worse and worse after his mom died, and that he started going to see a psychic, which does at least lead them to this psychic who had sensed something evil back when John took her to the house after Mary had died. More stuff going on with the house. Lady stepped out for a while. The kid goes into the fridge to get his juice out and gets locked in the fridge. Dean and Sam come to the house with the psychic, and she actually calls Dean an amateur because he's using his EMF scanner. She says that the evil that walked through the house back when Mary died leaves scars like an infection. and that's what she thinks is going on with the house. It's not the same spirit, it's different spirits. So they send the family away from the house for a while to try to deal with the spirits that are in the house, and she thinks that she's got them all exorcised out of there. But Sam is sensing that something is not quite right and that it's not done. So Sam and Dean stick around in the parking lot. Psychic cracked me up there, the stuff she was saying to Dean, and then as they're leaving, she's telling Dean, don't cuss at me, because he's like just thinking about it in his head. But Sam was right to be freaked out. Something is still wrong. He sees the lady up in the window calling for help. Here's the kids calling for help. Dean gets the lady out of the house. Sam goes to get the kids. As he is telling them to go out of the house, it looks like he is dragged away. And I'm thinking, is that a hellhound? Like, you couldn't see anything. But to me, it looked like maybe he got dragged away by a hellhound. This flaming spirit comes walking out, and it turns out to be Mary. Mama Mary is a fiery mama bear, and apparently she managed to get this poltergeist that was haunting their house out of there. But the psychic says that in the process of doing that, they canceled each other out. In the very end, what? John is there with the psychic in the flesh. Stuff's getting exciting. Episode 10 is called Asylum. They start at the Roosevelt Asylum, which is abandoned and seems to be haunted by ghosts from the asylum. A couple cops found kids hanging out in there. Before they leave, the one cop's buddy doesn't look quite right, and his nose is bleeding. Goes home, takes out a gun, shoots his wife, and then shoots himself. Dean gets texted coordinates to the asylum, which appear to be the same thing that his dad usually does. So the thought is that this is coming from his dad. His dad's journal has this asylum where the coordinates are at in it. It says there have been 2 deaths there and 7 sightings. Sam goes to visit a psychiatrist who should know about the place because apparently he was related to the doctor that was at that asylum. The psychiatrist told him that there was a riot back in the day, but he also seems to probe Sam about his brother, digging up some of those feelings. Then we have another couple of kids going to this asylum. This boy is taking his girlfriend there as a date. The worst date ever. What exactly are you thinking, kid? Will Sam and Dean find them and save them, or find them dead? Well, he does find them alive. Manages to save them. But holy crap, they were really not smart, especially the boy that brought her there. They found the girl, and she said that she had seen things and that she heard Gavin screaming. And while Sam goes to check things out, Dean has the horror movie lesson speech with the girl that, hey, next time you're watching a movie, pay the fuck attention and don't go to fucking places like this because it's stupid. Sam and Dean find that the spirits don't seem to be evil. Sam says that they were trying to communicate with him and not harm him, and communicates room 137. Dean leaves, calls Sam, and Sam leaves this girl with a shotgun because the boy doesn't know how to shoot it, but she apparently does. Except the person that called wasn't actually Dean. And now Sam seems to be messed up by that psycho ghost doctor. So Sammy shows his brother some brotherly love by trying to shoot Dean several times. Luckily, the shotgun is just filled with rock salt, and the other gun is not loaded. Psycho Ghost Doctor then tries to give Dean shock therapy, but he ends up going up in flames instead. In the very end of the episode, John calls on Dean's phone. So more little bits of John coming on, but we still don't know what the heck is actually going on with him. And seriously, this music at the end of every episode gives me some serious Silent Hill vibes. Episode 11 is called Scarecrow. They start with a scene from 1 year ago, and I said, did the neighborly neighbors just steer our strangers to the wrong side of town? Yep, I think so. That's exactly what they did. My kid was just grinning at me after we saw that guy from the couple got skinned. Just giving me this grin like, yep, you see what they get? Sammy gets a call from John, explaining a little bit. Now we know that John is hiding. He seems to be closing in on the demons that he believes took Mary and Sam's girlfriend, Jess. But he insists that neither Sam nor Dean look for him. He tells Sammy that he can't be any part of this. Why? I think we know, those of us who've actually watched the series, that Sammy's too connected. But he doesn't know that yet. He doesn't know what was actually going on that night. Sam ends up leaving Dean because he wants to get answers, not just follow John's every command. Dean talks to somebody. Sam bumps into a girl named Meg. She ends up leaving with Shady Van Guy. And Dean is directed by those neighborly neighbors. His EMF thing is going off the wall. Dean goes face to face with that scarecrow, but in broad daylight. He's got a hook. He's also got that missing guy's tattoo on his arm. The town appears to be blessed or insulated. Sam runs into Meg again. Both are heading to California. Dean tries to talk to the next couple who have been helped by those neighborly neighbors. They are at a diner, and Dean's kind of giving them the creeps. So the dumb waiter, calls the cops on him. Dean, did you not follow the... never mind. You did. You followed them. Apparently this is a pagan Scandinavian god. At least Dean thinks it's a god. He tells Sam about it and gives Sam credit for being his own guy and standing up to Dad, which kind of shifts Sam's feelings a little bit. He ends up worried because Dean does not contact him for several hours. So he changes his mind about going to California and goes back after him. A professor, cops, neighbors, all of them, the neighborly neighbors, are planning to sacrifice their niece, supposedly for the common good. Exactly what common good are we talking about when it requires a sacrifice every year for that common good to be maintained? Also hearing this myth from the professor that if you destroy a certain tree, then that should kill the god. Dean finds out from the niece of the neighborly neighbors that there is this apple tree that they called the first tree. Even though the neighborly neighbors and all the townsfolk set up this sacrifice of Dean and this young girl, the god decided, nope, I'm taking the neighborly neighbors, which to me makes more sense because the sacrifice was supposed to be based on a male and female couple, not two random male and female strangers that didn't know each other from a hole in the wall a couple days ago. And the neighborly neighbors were husband and wife. Episode 12 was called Faith. Are they straying from the formula? Because this one, I felt like I was starting out midway through the episode because Sam and Dean were in the process of saving two kids right when the episode started. They rescued the kids from what appeared to be a closet in the basement, but during the rescue, Dean was electrocuted by whatever being was attacking the kids. He has a heart attack, and the doctor later tells Sam that the damage is so bad that Dean is going to die, and Dean says that they can't stop it. And me and my kid are both like, death, yeah, they can, and they do, again and again and again. In desperation to try to save Dean, Sam sets Dean up to go to a healer, a faith healer, when Dean does not believe in that stuff at all. But on their way in, Dean sees Layla. Has Layla turned Dean around on that faith? Maybe not faith, but, yeah. He seems to be turned around by Layla, more so than some of the other girls. But in this circumstance, the healer chooses Dean to be saved rather than Layla, which turns out to be a problem later on. Got me on my knees, Layla. Nope, that was the preacher man. Preacher man's got Dean on his knees. Dean is saved. Sam and Dean find out about another heart attack victim who died young. And then later on, we find out he died at 4:17, the exact time that Dean was saved. It turns out this is some sort of Reaper situation, where in exchange for each miracle, a death occurs. So in this case, you might actually want to fear the Reaper. We get a little picture of the Monster Hunter code that Sam and Dean abide by. One of their main codes that they don't kill humans. That would make them just as bad as the monsters that they hunt. After Sam and Dean unsuccessfully try to save the next person to be killed by the Reaper, Layla, the next person who was chosen for a miracle, loses out on her opportunity to be saved. So Roy and his wife set up this miracle to occur later in the day. In order to stop the next miracle/death Reaper exchange, Dean shouts something in the middle of the event. Did he shout liar or fire? Because at first I thought he was saying liar, liar. But after it was all said and done, the way everybody was acting, it seems like maybe he actually said fire rather than liar. My hearing's not the greatest. But in order to make up for Layla's lost miracle, they decide to do the event that night. And Dean is almost reaped in exchange for Layla. But Sam steps in just in the nick of time, and Sue Ann gets reaped instead. Roy seems a little lost without his Sue Ann. Layla's miracle didn't pan out. She said Roy laid his hands on her and she didn't feel anything. The end of the episode, Sam had called Layla and asked her to come over, saying that Dean wanted to say goodbye to her. They didn't actually tell Layla too much, just that they travel a lot doing their work. Dean and Layla have a little talk. They seem to have a real connection. And as she leaves, Dean seems to have real feelings for Layla. You can see it in his sad, sad eyes. Episode 13 is Route 666. We start with a scene. Black guy gets ran off the road and rammed multiple times by a big-ass truck. Apparently, this is not the first one. We also get another Monster Hunter code that, according to the Winchester family code, we do not tell the family secret. The victim, as it turns out, was Dean's friend, Cassie's dad, Martin. In this one, Dean and Sam pretend to be medical insurance agents. And apparently, Dean and Cassie were more than just a little fling. After airing their grievances, the shagging begins. And the old white dude, Mayor, who wouldn't look into the death by truck ramming, ends up getting rammed by the same ghost truck. As it turns out, Mayor Todd had actually bulldozed the Dorian family home. Cyrus Dorian had been killed by Cassie's dad, Martin, after a chain of Cyrus Dorian's killings, including a children's choir at a church. Sam and Dean have to dredge a swamp to get this truck and the body out. Burn the body, but that's not working. This ghost truck goes after Dean. Sam is supposed to try to figure out a way to burn the truck. Instead, he comes up with another plan. Apparently, taking the truck to hollowed ground where the guy had killed all those kids in that church got rid of the ghost truck. Episode 14 is called Nightmare. We're uncovering more of whatever is going on with Sam. Very beginning of the episode, Sam says, I have these nightmares, and sometimes they come true. He is dreaming of death by asphyxiation or carbon monoxide poisoning with some guy trapped in his car, Car is running, he's locked in the garage, and it all seems to be happening on its own. Like something is making all of this happen. This episode, Sam and Dean pretend to be preachers, and Dean's contraptions also seem to be getting fancier. This time, Sam has another vision, but it's in broad daylight while he's awake. The guy who died in the car, his brother, Roger Miller, is gonna die. Sam and Dean are talking about what's going on with Sam and what's going on with this kid, and Dean says, "Our family's not cursed." Yeah, you tell yourself that. After talking to the guy's kid, Max, again, he seems scared, angry, something. They go to the kid's family home, find out that this kid was abused badly throughout his life, and the kid is responsible for these killings. It turns out the kid's mom died the same as Sam's. Their powers started at the same time. The mom that the kid is living with now is actually his stepmom. But this kid's power seems to be far more advanced than Sam's. The kid tries to kill his stepmom. Dean steps in, and the kid's gonna kill Dean too. But Sam manages to get to him just barely in the nick of time after being locked in a closet by the kid. As Sam's seeing Dean's death, this somehow gives him the power to move the furniture away from the closet that Sam is locked in. Sam gets to Dean just in time, manages to change the kid's mind, but only enough for the kid to decide to kill himself. And Sam learns that with very different childhoods, it can result in extremely different circumstances after experiencing the exact same thing. And Sam's uncovering more of the secrets that even he doesn't know. Episode 15 is called The Benders. This kid sees a guy get taken. He says it sounds like a monster with a whining growl. He sees the guy get pulled under a car. But the mom thinks his story is unbelievable, so she doesn't want him to keep telling it to everybody. Apparently, many have gone missing from this town and have not been found. And this time, Sam ends up missing. The next time we see him, he's locked up in a cage like an animal, along with the other guy that the kids saw taken. The perpetrators appear to be men. That first captive that the kids saw taken, Jenkins, is falling into their trap. In the meantime, Dean convinces this deputy to come with him to find Sam, under the premise that her brother had also gone missing from this same group, and she is trying to get to the bottom of this. But she doesn't trust Dean to come with him and ends up cuffing him to her car. Deputy meets Missy, the family decoy, and then gets hit with a shovel. Dean uncuffs himself just in time, gets to his brother and the deputy and gets them out of there, and find out that there is a parking lot of vehicles, including the car of the deputy's brother. These people are people hunters, the family business, handed down from generation to generation. It's kind of funny because Sam and Dean call their hunting business the family business, but Sam and Dean are hunting monsters while these guys are hunting people. Missy strikes again, this time at Dean. They have their boy go after Sam and the deputy, while Missy stays with Dean. Sam ducks just in time to get one of the family members shot, and then later the deputy takes out the dad, trying to escape. And then Sam and Dean have to walk out of town on foot. Episode 16 is Shadow. I think it's our episode to meet Meg again and find out what she's up to. Only because it was in the previews. Creepy shadow monster kills paranoid girl. The landlady says that everything was in place, but the girl was in pieces all over the room, and that it looked like she was killed by an animal. She also mentioned a smell. Sam and Dean are pretending to be from the security company, since the girl's security alarm didn't go off. They also find a strange symbol, which turns out to be a Zoroastrian symbol, conjuring up a demon. There she is, it's Meg. Sam's suspect of her, since she mysteriously ran into him again a third time. So he has Dean check up on her, he looks in on her, finds out her story seems to be legit, but he still doesn't trust her. follows her to her lair. She's got that goblet again, speaking to a sir. And then after she leaves, Sam sees her altar and that same symbol. Okay, y'all, all these victims are from Lawrence, Kansas, same as Sam and Dean. Meg's conjuring trapped Sam and Dean to draw in their dad, John. Sam got loose, flips her altar, and her demon throws her out the window. Dad's back. John, Sam, and Dean have a great little family reunion. Then, fucking demon scared the crap out of me. That was one short-lived family reunion. Episode 17, Hell House. They start in Richardson, Texas, 2 months prior. Hey guys, let's all go into the creepy old cabin late at night. Oh, fun. Freshly hung girl. The reported kids' stories are all on hellhouse.com, or is it hellhound.com? They're confusing me. I think it's hellhound.com, but whatever. And apparently, Craig sent them. Thanks, Craig. Y'all, my husband's name is Craig. He better not do some dumb shit like that to me. Inside this cabin, symbols are all over the wall. So Sam and Dean, while checking out the cabin, run into the guys who run the hellhouse.com site, or hellhound.com site. Another group of kids come to this cabin. A dumb girl takes a bet to go into that place alone. She's got some great friends. They just leave her there to frickin' hang. And of course, she gets hung, and the dumb cops think it's suicide. Now we find out that Craig made the whole damn thing up, painted random symbols, and faked the girl hanging. But apparently one of the symbols they painted was a Tibetan symbol that may have self-created the Mordecai spirit in the cabin through people's beliefs being fed by hellhound.com. Fun fact, many of the kinds of jokes that Sam and Dean are playing on each other, the actors would play on the cast members as well, at least on Misha Collins, but we've got to wait till season 4 before Misha joins the show. Episode 18 is called Something Wicked. We're in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, and a little girl is being attacked by some kind of creeper. This thing looked like that really old creepy emperor from Star Wars. And in this one, Sam and Dean pretend to be from the CDC. Memory where Sammy is actually watching the Thundercats. Learn that this thing is called the Striga, an Albanian witch that feeds off the breath of life, especially in kids. And the still-living Striga seems to be from a monster job that John didn't manage to get when Sam and Dean were kids. Striga's coming for these boys, Mikey and Asher, and she gets Asher first. In one of Sam's library searches, so apparently Dr. Heidecker is what, more than 200 years old? Back in another flashback, it seems that Sammy was almost taken out by one of these things when he was a kid. Now that Striga's gotten to Asher, Mikey's gonna be the bait. And they sure waited long enough. Holy crap. Mama Striga is fast and strong. Still, they managed to take her down, and apparently Dr. Heidecker is gone, and all the kids are better. Episode 19 was called Provenance, which apparently is a certificate of origin for paintings. And wow, she is just bloody. These are seemingly typical murders, but they fit patterns picked up by John in his journal. Sam and Dean pretend to be collectors at an estate auction that is too fancy for Sam and Dean, and they get kicked out for not being on the guest list. Sam goes on a date of the girl Sarah, the daughter of the guy that kicked them out, which was strongly encouraged by Dean. They figure out that this painting is causing these murders, sneak in, cut the painting from the frame. And as they were cutting the painting from the frame, I was just thinking, watch it be the frame. They burn the painting and it just reforms right in the frame. Now, after telling Sam they weren't selling the creepy pic, her dad sold it to a friend anyway, who of course ended up dead. The painting shows a painting within the painting of a mausoleum that says merchant. Inside the mausoleum, there is a missing urn of Isaiah. They find Isaiah's grave, dig it up, burn it up. Then they go back to check the painting that night. The little girl is missing from the painting and is coming after them. Is it the doll? Yep, I think it's that doll, the one that was in the mausoleum. If Dean can get that lighter going, there she goes. Sam's going. He says his goodbyes. Is he going to come back to see her? I honestly don't remember. Episode 20 is called Dead Man's Blood. Mr. Elkin's journal looks a lot like John's. And does that gun look familiar? His contact information is in John's journal. After Elkins gets killed, there's a message scratched into the floor. It's a safe deposit box number. They're in the car again. John's there. Apparently the gun is important, and Elkins was killed by vampires. John thought those were all wiped out by hunters like Elkins. Many of the myths about vampires were wrong, but some of them are true. Sam is not liking John barking orders, and they get in a big argument. Okay, more than one argument. Vampire lady is taking the girl they captured higher. And then Sam woke her up. The gun supposedly can kill anything, including demons. Sam and John speak together. Even with their clash of personality, they still find they have a great deal in common. Now Dean's getting picked up. She's shot with an arrow dipped in dead man's blood. To end the episode, John shoots Luther with the gun and tells his family, "We're stronger as a family." Episode 21 is Salvation. There goes their song. Carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Meg is back. Pastor John Murphy knows what she is. He is well armed. Just maybe not the best shot. The demon that killed Mary and Jess resurfaced a year ago, attacking families with infants on their 6-month birthday, just like Sam. Burning down houses, same as the Winchesters. Monster hunters are getting picked off, and Sam is having visions. He finds the girl in his vision, and her baby's a girl. Now they have to juggle stopping friends from being picked off and the demon coming to attack the baby. Is this how John dies? Or Sam? Meg brought a friend, and her friend just tested that gun on her. It didn't work. The holy water at least seemed to get them to back off a little bit. Back with Sam and Dean. There's radio interference. Power lines and lights are flashing. Sam shoots the demon, and it just kind of dissipates. The girl gets saved, but the cradle goes up in flames, along with the house, just as they save the baby. Da-da-da-da. Is John dead? Final episode for season 1, episode 22, is called Devil's Trap. Dean's freaking out. He goes for help. Yay, it's Bobby, one of my favorite characters. They got Meg trapped. Demon possesses her, so Sam is going to do an exorcism. It's been a year, possessed, unable to control her body, but knowing what's happening. Yet because she's in a broken body, doing the exorcism is going to kill her. Sam uses another trap to keep Dean's trunk safe, and this is the episode that we start seeing a lot more use of symbols for protection. Their dad is at Sunrise Apartments. Sam pulls the fire alarm. Sam and Dean pretend to be firemen. Those demons don't like those firemen. More demons are turned outside the apartments, one through touch. Did Dean just use the Colt? Yes, he did. And here it comes. It's old Yellow Eyes. Possessed John says the possessions they exorcised were his children. Sam shoots possessed John in the leg as it tries to kill Dean. They seem to have made it out alive and are taken out by a semi with a possessed driver. And that is the end of Supernatural Season 1. See you next time.